Up YouTube? It is K-Rod here. I'm back with another good video for today. So for those of you that do not know, Deontay Wilder had recently won his arbitration against Tyson, the gypsy fraud bitch Fury. Let's talk about that for today. Alright, so I'm going to be covering the details of what I've heard with the with the arbitration alone. So for those of you that do not know, Deontay Wilder had won his arbitration against Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury is obligated, or he's basically mandated by the court of law that had been coming from the arbitration that he has until no later than the date of September 15th of 2021 to give Deontay Wilder a trilogy. And on top of that, if he does not fulfill that void, then he is going to be receiving legal charges being placed against him for him frauding on him lying about the statement that Wilder was supposedly offered, I guess, like step aside money. And if that money was to be, a fluke of some sort, then that will be thrown against him for charges for fraud, because Fury's not supposed to say that, especially in a court of law, or after, an adjudication in a court of law. That will be thrown against him. So if Tyson Fury is found guilty for that, he will be charged with a crime on that. But I think the most important thing is that if he does not fight Deontay Wilder and he goes off and fights AJ, he's still going to be hit with a he's basically going to be charged either way. Because if Tyson Fury upholds, this third fight with Deontay Wilder, he has to mitigate those costs immediately, because he knows what's going to happen to him. And I think what Tyson Fury forgot is that you don't talk about stuff of what you said that you were going to do to somebody, and then you backtrack on it, and then you keep lying about what you just said that wasn't true. And it's really weird, because Tyson Fury really does think that he has all the power in the world to do the things that he wants to do, but he doesn't. And I've kind of been saying this to all you Fury dick riders, more so Deontay Wilder haters, because I know who, I already know who these people are. I know what these people think of. I know how these people, oh wait, hold on, give me 1 second, sorry. I know how you guys operate on a day-to-day basis. Most of you guys do not have lives. You guys have poor mental health issues, and a lot of you just basically talk shit and say all the shit that you guys want to say. Hey, what's up, Deshaun Thompson? Thank you very much. Thank you. But yeah, basically, I'm going to just state my piece of what these Tyson Fury fans were saying about Deontay Wilder. And honestly, it's just sick and evil. Ever since this whole cheating scandal had started, what has Tyson Fury said about Deontay Wilder? He's like saying, oh, Deontay Wilder, he's afraid, blah blah blah, of this trilogy. Deontay Wilder better, take this fight now, or else I'm going to fight Anthony Joshua. And then, month after month leading up to the so-called, expiration date of the contract that was to be mitigated for the trilogy rematch, Tyson Fury basically pulled a 180, trying to say that he's ready to fight in December. And then Bob Arum and all of the retards and DAZN and Matchroom with Eddie Hearn try to say, oh, well, the contract said that, Fury doesn't need to give Deontay a rematch clause anyway, because supposedly there was an expiration date on it, and that wasn't even true in the first place, because Deontay Wilder, I think he had until December to get the fight made, but Deontay said he was already ready by that time. And then Fury, he was making up the excuses to say, oh, I can't fight Deontay Wilder without a crowd. And Tyson Fury was basically saying that, for this magnitude of a fight, we need to have like a crowd. And I think Bob Arum was trying to say that the fight can't be made unless there's like a huge crowd, because they didn't want to risk having I guess let the live gate being destroyed, which I find that absolutely bullshit, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you want a live gate or not. If the two guys want to fight, then let them fight. So the issue is just simple, that Tyson Fury did not want to fight Deontay Wilder the third time, because he knew that if Deontay Wilder was already ready by December, which that was technically his deadline date to actually make a decision to push for the rematch clause, but which he actually pushed for the rematch clause a week after he lost to Tyson Fury in February, or I think 2 weeks prior to it. But still, it doesn't make any sense of why Fury was backtracking on his statement to say that he's ready, he's just waiting on what Deontay Wilder wants to do. And it makes zero fucking sense, because Deontay Wilder, he was already ready to actually fight Fury. But what happened was that, Tyson Fury was trying to fight that fucking piece of shit Kabylie guy, or I forgot like what that guy's name is, but he's that Middle Eastern fuck, in which he tried to say, oh well, if Deontay Wilder's not going to fight me, in December, then I'm gonna fight this other guy, and then he's gonna go off and fight AJ. No, motherfucker, you're gonna fight Deontay Wilder. But here's the actual problem, though. It was Bob Arum trying to make up all these goddamn excuses to say that, oh, well, the fight can't be made here on this date because, I think it was mainly due to the date itself, because at that time, coming from December all the way up until now, was mainly just because that college football was going on, college basketball was going on. So it's like, from Bob Arum's point of view, he didn't want to waste all that money to put the fight, on a date where it's going to conflict with other sports at that given time. So it makes all the sense in the world to actually try to wait until there's a proper date. But it's like, if you guys wanted to fight anyway, regardless of what the fans think, then people are going to tune in. Even after like a college night of football, it's like, those people are going to transition to boxing anyway, because they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, my team had won or just lost, so, what else is left to do? Okay, let's watch Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. But either way, it didn't matter anyway, because Wilder was already ready from the beginning. And Tyson Fury was making up the excuses to say, I can't fight Deontay Wilder without a crowd, so I'm not going to fight him unless there's a crowd behind it. Even at, half, I guess, reduce capacity, knowing that COVID was, becoming a huge problem, with trying to get, let the fight properly, organized. But either way, it didn't matter for Deontay Wilder, but it did matter for Tyson Fury and Bob Arum, because Tyson Fury was basically making up all these excuses of why he can't fight Wilder. And then he brought up that racial bullshit to say, oh, well, he disrespected my culture for being gypsy, so I'm never going to fight Deontay Wilder. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. You disrespected Deontay Wilder on multiple occasions. You try saying to him after the fight, in the fucking rematch, oh, hey, I'm sorry that I beat you up on Black History Month. Really? Really, Tyson? Nobody's not going to hide away that you have a very racist, narcissistic mind. I'm not going to go too deep into his history, but the things that he does, it makes you want to hurt him. And he's a piece of shit for doing it. Deshaun said, remember, but he was going to fight someone else with no gate or fans. And remember, he said he said December 5th. Why not Wilder? Yeah, that's basically what I was trying to say. He was trying to tell Wilder, look, if you don't fight me by come December, then I'm going to just basically walk out. Knowing that the contract negotiation said that Wilder is entitled to a rematch clause. So that means that if you even try to pull out of this rematch, because he's trying, like, Fury was trying to do the same shit what he did to Klitschko, but the problem with that is that Klitschko knew what the fuck he knew what Fury was doing to him. He did not know of what the ramifications would come out of it, because Klitschko, he could have easily brought this to court. He could have easily done the same exact thing to Tyson Fury, telling him what he needed to do to make this fight happen. And Tyson Fury basically got away with it because, you know, when he got caught for cheating, for doing drugs and shit, right? He basically just, you know, purposely left the sport of boxing, got super fucking fat, and then suddenly Deontay Wilder gets called out by him, and then Deontay felt like, well, let me just help him out. You know, I'm just gonna bring this guy from the mud. You know, he's not even fucking ranked. He was out of the sport for 2 fucking years, and then suddenly, magically, Tyson Fury just comes out of nowhere, and then he just starts being super duper fit and shape. Oh man, I lost like 149 pounds within a short couple span of months. How do you do that in 6 months? Especially when you're in your like early 30s, going on into mid or late 30s. But still, you know, once you hit that 30 mark, it's really hard for your body to transition to being more, like, I wouldn't even say that, but I would say, like, once you start getting older, it's like, you know, it's a lot harder to lose weight. But if you're like Errol Spence, where like you're like working out every single day and you're, you know, disciplining your body to be, you know, ready for whatever fight that may come, then getting in shape is not that hard. But for Tyson Fury, we've seen him become super overweight in fights when we know that he's not even like in shape, but then once he comes into a fight, it's like he somehow does very, very well and performs at a level where he doesn't gas out. He doesn't look like absolutely tired. He doesn't even look like that he's not even supposed to be inside the ring with somebody that has better skills than him. But it's just like physicality-wise, it's like his genetics does not equal out to the performance levels of what he's supposed to do in an, like, you know, in a actual fight. So the thing is that Tyson Fury, he's been abusing basically like all these drug cheating mechanics or tactics, I would say, and he's using that to his advantage whenever he can. But then once it came to a guy like Deontay Wilder, he's like, nah, I cannot do the same thing what I did to him, or I can't do the same thing to what I used to do to used to do to Vladimir Klitschko, because he knew that, you know, if he tried to do the things that he did to Klitschko to Deontay Wilder, he wasn't going to have, you know, the proper cheating advantage to try to beat Wilder. So that's why in the first fight, Fury had to use his bare knuckle by tampering his left glove to hit Wilder with that, you know, I guess like that left hook that kind of looked really weird, but it wasn't even like a left hook. It was simply just pretty much like a swinging left punch. And then it was just basically bare knuckle being hit to Deontay Wilder's, I would say like left jawbone. Seems about right, but still, it's still fucked up because Tyson Fury, he was trying so hard to actually hurt Wilder in the first fight. And guess what? To all you Fury dick writers, he was actually getting his ass beat. So that means that Deontay Wilder, he was 2 seconds ready to kill Tyson Fury in that first fight. And Tyson Fury pretty much admitted that, you know, after the fight, he said, I almost died against, you know, facing Deontay Wilder. So he pretty much admitted that Deontay Wilder is one of the most deadliest punchers that he has come face to face. See, now, for any of you that try to say, oh, You know, quit it with all that talk, man. Tyson Fury, he's way better, you know, boxing-wise against Deontay Wilder. Okay, fine, but let me tell you something. Tyson Fury cannot handle pressure. When you've seen Fury get his ass whooped, like, against, like, a guy like Steve Cunningham, which Steve Cunningham, he came in a lot less bigger. I think he was, like, a lot smaller when he fought Fury in his heavyweight debut. But when he fought Fury, you know, basically Steve Cunningham was outboxing Fury, but he was literally just pressuring him with his, you know, fundamentals. And Fury, he got very, very uncomfortable, and then he started leaving his hands, like, wide open, trying to, like, be, like, super awkward and slick, but it wasn't working because Steve Cunningham, he contained him. He made Fury not move around, and he kept working downstairs, and then he went upstairs. So the thing is that Tyson Fury, he knows that he cannot stay in the inside pocket with you, but if he uses, like, those, like, little, like, you know, awkward left or right jabs, I don't know, like, which one he does, but he's like a very unorthodox type of fighter, then yeah, then that'll actually frustrate somebody like Deontay Wilder. And then, you know, if he, you know, does that all night long, which he has to be perfect, he cannot make a simple mistake against a guy like Deontay Wilder, then yeah, then I'll actually, you know, accept that, to see that that Deontay Wilder cannot beat a guy like Fury if he uses those pure boxing tactics. But it's not like Tyson Fury actually has those boxing, you know, tactical abilities, because his abilities are very slanted, and he's very, like, I would say he's, like, very mid-tier when it comes to using, like, boxing IQ. His ring IQ is, like, mid-tier when it comes to, like, him trying to, like, you know, make it seem like he could actually be defensively gifted when it comes to him boxing on the outside. But it's really not true, because we've already seen Tyson Fury hurt by Deontay Wilder. So it's already proven that Tyson Fury, he cannot allow himself to get hit by Wilder. But guess what? Wilder has that one hitter quitter in both hands. So if that right hand hits him, and then Wilder, with his new and improved skills with Malik Scott, dude, Tyson Fury is getting whooped. And I really, really hope, I pray to the boxing gods that Tyson Fury gets killed by Deontay Wilder. This is, like, I personally don't wish harm onto other people, but when it comes to this particular situation, Tyson Fury is a piece of shit cheater. He is a piece of shit cheater. And, you know, Deontay Wilder, you know, I have a lot of respect for him, because he is probably one of the best fighters when it comes to him trying to fight the best. And when you've seen it with him and Luis Ortiz, best fight ever, hands down. You know, that like, those two fights alone showed what Deontay Wilder could do to a guy, even when he's outboxed. All it takes is just one little punch, and then boom, Deontay Wilder eliminates you. He literally crushes your body. He smothers you with those punches, but it doesn't even have to be like multiple punches. With his new technique that Malik Scott has been working with him, which he's been training with Malik Scott for a couple of years by now, but that new technique that Malik Scott is teaching Wilder, that's making Deontay Wilder a bigger threat now. Because now, if Fury tries to use that left hook onto Wilder, Wilder could just sidestep, and then boom, boom, right to his face, 1-2, and then use that little, you know, sneaky little uppercut, and then bam, use that right hook. Wow. Deontay Wilder will murder Tyson Fury. I guarantee you. And Deontay Wilder, he's going to do the same thing to Tyson Fury, but way worse. But I don't personally think this fight will happen, though, because I'm not too sure if Tyson Fury is going to have balls. Because Tyson Fury, he's running for his life. He knows what the fuck has happened. You know, the jig is up. You should have had manhood to fight Deontay Wilder when Deontay Wilder was confused on how he lost to you. And now it's coming to a point that you've given Deontay Wilder enough time to get ready. It's been well over a year plus. And now you're fucked because you haven't really been training. And he pretty much admitted it, right? Didn't we just hear didn't we just hear Tyson Fury saying that, oh nah mate, I haven't really been training that often. Because with like the whole AJ Fury bullshit, Tyson Fury's just basically been not taking training seriously, and he's been having a lot of mental health issues, right? So it's like, dude, Deontay Wilder has already won this fight mentally. So that has to mean for Fury that even if he goes back to the gym, probably takes his bitch ass, little steroids to get ready for the fight, what's going to happen is that Tyson Fury is literally going to be scared shitless because he's going to have to go through a fat camp instead of working on real technique to try to beat Wilder. Because he knows that Wilder, he's been putting in all that work into the gym, and what has Fury done? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So honestly, I really can't wait for this fight. If Fury actually thinks he could still beat Wilder, knowing that he hasn't been putting all that work into the gym, and he's been careless with his training, and he's been really careless with his body, I got Deontay Wilder all day. Because honestly, the things that Deontay Wilder has been showing to the world, just little by little, Deontay has been winning. He's been doing amazing. Deontay Wilder is like literally a titan. Like everything that you see out of this man is like, wow. Like why didn't I see this out of Deontay Wilder prior to, let's just say, the Luis Ortiz fight? I mean, yeah, he still beat him twice, but it's like, if Deontay Wilder had that technique, going into those fights by, let's just say, Malik Scott, like, that would be so amazing. Like, honestly, just, fuck Mark Breland, and thank you, Malik Scott. Like, Malik Scott is just literally one of the best trainers I could actually see preparing Deontay Wilder for greatness. And I appreciate Deontay Wilder actually, staying true to his word, because, he just wants to be great. And I'm like, I don't know, man, I'm just really happy for Deontay, because, I really do think Deontay Wilder is another Muhammad Ali 2.0. It may not seem like it, stylistically, but as a person, Deontay Wilder has a Muhammad Ali, charisma of bringing his fans together and keeping his dignity alive when it's been challenged or it's been disrespected. And, the only thing that I have to say is thank you, Deontay Wilder. Thank you for, standing up for what's right. And thank you for being, a true warrior for who you are. Because, I think that Deontay Wilder, he planned this out correctly, and he obviously was confused at first of what happened prior to the rematch with Fury, but then once he found out, he was fucking pissed, I'm pretty sure. But it's like, when I, was, talking about, the whole cheating bullshit with him, and Fury, I was basically, watching everybody covering all the content on it, and I was sharing it, and I was trying to do the best I can to keep that message alive, and look at how far the truth has come. Philosophically, it really changed the whole timeline, because now Tyson Fury has a lot of pressure. Tyson Fury cannot do the things that he thinks he can do, because now Tyson Fury has to basically have a magnifying glass following him. But I don't think Fury's going to do anything with him fighting Wilder, because either one, he's going to have to vacate that belt if he doesn't fight him, and then two, he's going to have to face legal ramifications, because with all that bullshit that Tyson Fury brought up in that video that he said about I guess the step aside money, I think that could be brought to court if Deontay wants to do that, or whoever sees that. And I think that will cause like a really big slash on Fury's career. If not, I could really see Deontay Wilder just like throwing Fury into prison, because he has like enough evidence to actually prove that Fury did cheat against him. But I don't think Deontay wants that. He wants to kill Fury one way or another, and I don't blame him, because this is like a guy that damn near killed you in a fight that you never expected him to cheat, against you. And it's disrespectful to your manhood, and it's disrespectful to the sport of boxing, because it just shows how evil people are when it comes to, I guess, having justice done in the sport. When, if you look at any other sport in the history of sports, the cheating and corruption gets cleared out pretty quick, and it never goes hard to that level where you see athletes getting killed over shit like that. And I think for that justice that needs to be served, that really needs to be honored more, because I don't see how the sport of boxing could really last if people do get away with that, where you inspire little children to think that, oh, well, if you want to become great in a sport, you just have to cheat. And, where I've come from and many others, I don't look at it like that. I look at it to be like, if you want to become the best at what you do, you have to be the best. You have to be fair in what you do to reach up there to the top. Because if you don't, you will be exposed, and you will be repaying back, all the sins that you have done for that sport alone. And we've seen that before. So, I think, Deontay Wilder, he's doing everything right. I'm proud of him. I'm proud for all the people that have stood up like against that bullshit with the whole cheating bullshit with Fury. And I hope Fury gets killed or he gets thrown in prison, man. Fuck him. Let's see. Watcher said, can't wait for the fight. The left hook to the body is gold. Yes, I do think so. Honestly, like, I really do see Wilder working with the body more onto Fury. I think Fury's really going to be... He's going to be psychologically pressured. He already knows what Wilder is going to do to him, but it's not going to be like the same Deontay Wilder. It's going to be a Deontay Wilder with pure boxing IQ. And now that Malik Scott is in his corner, it's going to be 10 times more deadlier. And I could literally see Wilder stopping Fury, but he's going to literally kill him in the ring. Like, straight up. Allegiant Stadium, 70,000 fans. Yeah, would be crazy. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty good. I really can't wait for that fight if it does happen. If Fury got balls to actually fight him. I don't think so, because I think Deontay Wilder is too much of a threat to him. Honestly, he should have just, fought Wilder and just, shut up all the critics if he wants to disprove, the cheating scandal that he did. But either way, it's like, he still would have cheated, even if he tried to do the third fight, by cheating once more. But now that there's a magnifying glass, it's like, alright, here you go. Now it's time for you to, confess to the world if you're a good fighter or not. And I think, you could already see by how Fury moves in the sport is that he is not taking boxing seriously, and he's just fucking around, while Deontay Wilder is actually looking to kill this man in the ring, and he's taking everything seriously as if this is, one of his biggest fights ever. And I think honestly, in my viewpoint, Deontay Wilder is way better than Fury, because Fury, he does not have too much of a chin, I would say, but most of his flaws is just basically pressure. And Deontay Wilder pretty much proved that by hurting Fury to, I would say, the body more, because Fury, he does not like body punches. Like, most of his pressure is basically torn apart from the body, and once that's destroyed, it's like Fury, he can't really fight you at that point. But I don't see how Wilder is really going to be countered by Fury, because now that Wilder has that motivation from Malik Scott, then at this, at that point, it's just basically like, a GG, because Wilder, he has more technique now to break Fury down and make him into a bigger, target, where he just takes advantage of Fury's, deficiencies, and then boom, he easily just kills him. But I think it's going to be a pretty easy fight for Wilder now, because the only thing that needs to happen is just that Wilder, he needs to just get that one shot off of Fury, but he just needs to just use his jab more. Once he uses that jab, Fury, yeah, it's game over. Like, I could literally see Fury crying in the fight alone, knowing that he could have easily ducked the fight, which I think he's going to do that. I think that's what's going to happen. Fury's going to duck it. Wilder is going to basically just say, yeah, I told you so. You got your ass fucked. And I think after that, he just brings it to court. And then he gets his just due and throws Fury out of the, sport of boxing. But I don't know, man. Like, I just really wish this fight, like, I really wish Fury was just a clean fighter. If he beat Wilder fair and square, then okay, fine. Like, everybody loses in every sport, but Wilder could easily come back, and it's like, whatever. Like, I know Deontay Wilder, he's way better than most fighters, and I'm sure he could literally beat Fury fair and square. And it was proven that even though Fury did cheat in the first fight, Wilder basically beat him. So Wilder is better than Fury in the sense of he has his knockout power, but if he uses more technique and boxing mechanics fundamentally against Fury, he could easily dominate Fury. And Wilder technically has more of the athletic gift of using, the ring to his advantage when he has more arching, accuracy with his punches, because it basically makes him more dangerous for him to use his jab, and then he uses it as a means of sticking his power out to Fury, and then once he sets up for that really big punch, or if he uses more uppercuts, dude, Fury, he's done. Fury cannot do anything with that type of style. And I think with this new style that Malik Scott has done for Deontay Wilder, that's going to be a very deadly style for Fury to handle. And Fury's not going to be able to handle it, because Deontay Wilder is going to make it look so unpredictable. And I think jab-wise, Deontay Wilder has the best jab in the heavyweight division, hands down. He has no choice. Bob said it might be finalized tomorrow. The sooner the better. This time Wilder will be coming in there with that grin on his face, ready to go. Oh yeah, I totally agree. Fucking Wilder, he's ready, bro. If you guys seen his recent training video of him picking up those boulders and shit, dude, I'm very happy for him. Deontay Wilder is taking this shit seriously, as if it's he's on he's on a mission. He really has something to prove, and Deontay Wilder, he's just on another level now. And I think it's good, because now it puts a lot of pressure on the Fury, because Fury, he's not really well dedicated. And now Wilder's Wilder's confidence is basically through the charts, and I think at this point that pretty much shows Wilder's tenacity of what he does to Fury in the fight alone, making the fight a lot easier for him. But it's just it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy how life changes that quick when karma hits you back. And this is the same Tyson Fury that said he would never take step-aside money for the trilogy itself when he beat Wilder, or I don't know when, which out of those two fights, but he said he wouldn't take step-aside money for, you know, Deontay Wilder versus, I think, Andy Ruiz, you know, when people said that that could have happened for Undisputed. So, you know, it's quite a contradiction, because now it's like Tyson Fury had to make that stupid ass fucking video of him lying about, I guess, the step aside money, which Deontay Wilder would never want that in the first place. So I don't know why the fuck he would bitch and complain about that. But it just shows like the ignorance of Tyson Fury's, you know, sadistic antics of him being afraid of Deontay Wilder and not being a man to step up from, you know, all of his past failures that he's trying to get away from. And I think, you know, justice will be served. It's going to be served in the ring, or it's going to be served, you know, in the courts. And I think legal ramification-wise, Tyson Fury is really in a really big shithole, you know, situation. Because, you know, if he really doesn't want to deal with Wilder, he already knows what's going to happen to him. He's going to be basically prosecuted. He's going to be sent to, probably to a federal court. And then once he's found guilty for other charges that Deontay wants to push onto him, it's just game over, man. It's just game over. Like, honestly, I'd rather just see Fury dead, because it's like, you know, y'all know me, you know, I don't like people that cheat in sports, but for this type of cheating that Fury had to pull off on Wilder, where you pretty much almost killed Wilder in the ring, and people basically just laugh that off to think that's really funny, because you don't play boxing and you don't play wrestling. I used to wrestle back in high school, and let me tell you, you could literally kill somebody with a suplex. So when you look at it in boxing, you could literally die from a single jab. You know, I've sparred with some people, you know, at the boxing gym that I go to locally here in Albany, and it's not really easy to go through sparring. You gotta train your body to basically be prepared to take a punch in sparring. And if you translate that into like a boxing fight, it's way different, because one, you know, in a real boxing match, you're using at least 8-ounce gloves, if not higher or lower, and the punches sting more if you go down more in ounces. So as the fight goes on, your punches are actually more deadlier to an opponent's face if you hit them more with more power, and I would say technicality, honestly. You know, like that's really how dangerous boxing is, and wrestling too. But you know, boxing is way more dangerous than wrestling, hands down. But it's just like, you know, I'm just all for the justice, man. You know, I don't like people cheating, and you know, I want to see the just due for, you know, Wilder. So, you know, I'm happy for Deontay Wilder. Thank you, thank you for standing up for what you believed in, and let's see Tyson Fury get killed in that ring, because fuck him. Let's see. Wilder is Nagano and Fury is Miocic. We all know how that ended. I wouldn't put Francis Nagano next to Wilder, but you know, in a sense, like, that's what Wilder would do to Fury. He basically will just rip his body apart and just chomp him down. But you know, it's definitely gonna be a murder scene. That's what's gonna happen. But that Francis Nagano guy, he's nowhere near Deontay's level, but he definitely has like the power structure of like hurting people. But either way, it's just, you know, it's like a really tough call to actually put that, you know, comparison there. Then yeah, Watcher said he looks like one of those warriors from Senegal lifting the log. yeah, Deontay kind of looks like that. Yeah, then the new training footage from Malik Scott. Yeah, Malik Scott, he's a damn good trainer. I really wish Deontay had him as his trainer instead of Mark Breland, because Deontay Wilder would have, you know, defeated Tyson Fury. a lot easier if, Malik Scott was there. But I think with this third fight, it's like Malik Scott already knows Tyson Fury. I believe he actually sparred against him, if I'm not mistaken. So I think, honestly, Malik Scott, he already knows how Tyson fights. So it's like, he can easily make that fight super simplistic by giving Wilder all the tips and tricks of what Tyson does. And once that's already figured out, it's like Tyson is basically fucked, because Deontay Wilder does not have that style that many think is like, oh, he's not that good, blah blah blah, he can't box. But yet Tyson Fury is going to get outboxed, and he's going to get out-traded. So it's like basically a unpredictable version of Deontay Wilder, where you don't know what he's going to throw at you, but he's going to be technically sound now. And I like that. I really do like what Malik Scott is doing with him, because it's making Wilder a very deadly technical fighter. Wilder is, Deshaun said, I'm betting the house on Wilder in 9 weeks. Nagano ain't like Wilder. The undercard should be good. I'm just saying, if I had to compare a fight, that one would be lit. Yeah, Malik sparred with Lennox Lewis. Yeah, that's true. That's actually good though too, because if Wilder is being trained by that type of trainer that already has that championship level sparring with other type of fighters like that, like Lennox Lewis, that pretty much just shows that Malik Scott is just like, he's hands down like, one of the best trainers for Wilder to work on his style and just make him into like a more punishing fighter. And I like that out of him, because that gives Wilder the advantage over Fury. And I'm just happy that Malik is working with him, man. They've been training for at least 2 years, so it's like good for him. But I think let the fight alone with Wilder and Fury, if it goes the distance, Wilder just needs to just out jab Fury and just pressure him, because at the end of the day, if he does that and Fury doesn't have too much of a answer with trying to throw enough jabs onto Wilder to keep him away on the outside, and Wilder does hurt him and Fury's not able to respond properly, then guess what? Wilder could easily win by decision. But you don't know with these judges, so I think Wilder really does need to knock out Fury to actually prove a point. It would only make sense in the world to do that. I just think like the way things are, it's just like I rather not see a decision. I rather see a very destructive knockout, and I want to see Wilder get his just due. But even if Wilder loses, but it was a fair loss, it wasn't no bullshit loss where there was cheating involved, okay, fine, I'm perfectly fine with that. I just want to see a fair fight, that's all. And I'm not going to say Fury's better than Wilder. If it was like a really close fight and Wilder gave it his all and he still lost, I'm not going to accept that. But I will say, okay, fine, all credit to Fury beating Wilder, knowing that you could have beat him in the first fight and in the second fight. So now the third fight, you magically beat him on some judge, protectionism. I don't know. But it just doesn't make any sense, because Fury is, the type of fighter to think that his ego keeps him, protected. And I'm not ever going to, respect a fighter that has a lot of cheating behind his track record. So that's pretty much what I really wanted to say. I had a lot of thoughts on this alone before I even went live, because I was going to make a video, but I kind of felt like that was going to take a little bit too long. So I felt like just doing this through live stream would be a lot easier for y'all. I really do appreciate all of you that came over to chat. Thank you guys. Shout out to all the channels that have been really putting in the grind, exposing all this madness. Shout out to BFTB. Shout out to Kano Local Sports. Shout out to Aki TV. All respect to Aki TV. He's a beast. Shout out to Blue Blood. Shout out to Champside. Shout out to a lot of people out of the LDBC. You guys really showed a lot of work. Oh yeah, shout out to Fanan too. A lot of you, yeah, a lot of them. Drew Titan, just all the great content creators that have that have been spreading the truth and just staying consistent with boxing. I think I forgot like other channels. Oh, Ricky Williams, shout out to him. Very good YouTuber. Please go subscribe to him. Yeah, and I think that's it, man. I don't know what else to really say other than, you know, let's see what happens with this trilogy. I think I'm not too sure if the trilogy will happen, but if the trilogy does happen, it's gonna be a fucking packed arena. It's gonna be crazy. I cannot fucking wait. It's gonna be a crazy good undercard. It better have like all the good fighters on there. Put like Lorenzo Truck Simpson. Put like everybody there. I don't know. Put Jared Anderson in there. Just put every damn good fighter on that list. But I can't wait. So either way, let's see what happens. Honestly, if Fury doesn't even fight Wilder, what's gonna happen is probably just gonna be that Wilder is going to get probably his belt, and it's just going to be either him versus maybe Dillian White or whoever is next in line for the WBC heavyweight title as a mandatory. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see where that goes, because Deontay Wilder, he has a lot of roads he can take. And honestly, if, let's just say theoretically, if Fury had his way in arbitration, then what Deontay Wilder could have done is that he could have basically fought Charles Martin for the IBF title eliminator, and then he would have been AJ's mandatory. Like literally, after the Fury and AJ fights, Wilder would just basically just be next in line for it, and then Fury or AJ, whoever won that fight, you know, if Fury won and beat AJ, he probably would have vacated anyway against Wilder. And I think that's what Fury's going to do. I think he's going to vacate the WBC. I don't think he's going to fight Wilder, because I think Fury, he's scared to his... Yeah, he's scared out of his mind, and he's basically being hunted down at this point. But if he has manhood to fight Wilder, be ready to get killed. And I'll be there watching it. But either way, I think Wilder... He already knows what he wants to do, and he has everything set in the bag. So thank you, Deontay Wilder. Thank you, LDBC. You guys are doing everything right. And thank you guys for watching, man. I appreciate every single one of you guys that came in. Deshaun and Watcher. You guys are good people. Thank you very much. So I'll see you guys later. I will cover probably the Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez fight. I could probably do like a fight call on that. Let me know if you guys want me to do that. I'll probably stream it, and I'll probably talk about it. So, alright, thank you guys, and goodbye.